Would it be appropriate to say that there's over 40 personalities on the couch right now?
Um, yeah, I mean, identities alters, yeah.
Yes, there's technically 30 people in this body all the time, but they're not always conscious.
Do you love all of Max's alters equally?
I would say, I mean, I love all of Max's alters. There's some that I haven't gotten to know as well, but I do care for every one of them in different ways, obviously. I'm not in a relationship with all of them, but I do care for each of them, and I like to get to know all of them.
Welcome to SBSK. Join me as I travel around the world and interview individuals living with a condition to prove no matter how you communicate or what obstacles you face, you're always deserving of love and acceptance. So without hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
I'm meeting you for the first time. What do I need to know?
I'm sorry, you gotta ask specifics.
Is there anything that you can tell me that'll help me better connect with you?
Sorry, I'm dealing with the moment.
What's going through your mind?
Martha's really close and I'm getting anxious, so.
Who is Martha?
Martha's our protector, so she's been close pretty much after we first started filming.
What is your name?
My name's Scarlett, and I'm an alter in Amelia's system.
What does a protector do?
A protector makes sure that we're okay. So she knows that I'm anxious right now, and she's kind of throwing herself at me, like, let me take over, because she likes the whole YouTube thing and, you know, like doing interviews and interacting with people. So
are you Max right now, or are you Martha?
I'm Max. I'm always Max. If I go away, then it's just Martha. Martha isn't Max. Max isn't Martha. Like, we're our own separate people.
Alters are basically their own sense of self. So they are basically their own people, even though they are part of a whole because of how separated they are and how dissociated they are. So they have their own names, their own gender, own pretty much everything.
Tell me about yourself, Scarlett.
So I'm 20 years old, and I am not out here, but in our inner world, which is this internal space that we have. I have purple hair and golden eyes, and I do a lot of the advocacy work. Like, I do a lot of YouTube videos and speaking for our system.
What is a system?
It's just, I guess, a blanket term of everyone who's in the body. So the alters make up a system.
Do you know how many alters you have?
As far as I know, we have in total around 30.
Did your system make a conscious decision to have Scarlett be present today, since it's an interview and a social thing?
Yeah. Most of the time I do like interviews and things like that. Hopefully in the future we'll have like Amelia and other people be doing interviews more as well. But today it was just, we've been dealing with like some stressful things going on for the past few days, so I felt like it was better for me to kind of just be the front here, and the system agreed with me on that. The metaphor that I like to use is if you have a piece of pizza and it's in slices, no piece of pizza is like more real than the other piece of pizza. The whole pizza is like a real pizza, it's just different parts.
For someone like me who's never lived with DID, it's hard for me to understand everything you say. Is it enough for me to tell you I believe you?
Honestly, yes, it is. Because we don't hear that enough, I don't think. I don't need everybody to understand everything about DID. Just being accepted and believed makes a huge difference, I think.
What causes DID?
DID is caused by the inability to integrate into one personality. There's this disruption in the integration process of identity, and that is caused by trauma.
When people are born, they don't actually have like a formed personality yet. They have these different parts of themselves that eventually naturally integrate into a personality. But when a child goes through like repeated trauma, while that process is happening, it can be interrupted in order to store off certain trauma memories or certain things and feelings that need to be held. away so that the child can basically just function and live a normal life as a child. So it's basically a coping mechanism, a survival mechanism more than anything. It's got to be ongoing trauma as well. So usually one event is not going to cause DID. It's usually if like the trauma is going on for like several years. For us specifically, we went through sexual abuse throughout our childhood, throughout several years of our childhood. But we don't give any like details or anything other than that, just to protect ourselves and to just for our own benefit.
When you or Max refer to they, them, we, or us, are you referring to your whole system?
Yes. Well, when I say we and things like that, that just refers to my system, like everybody, yeah. And then I'll say I, like I want something to eat or I want something to drink. I'm just talking about me specifically. But if I say, we moved from here to here, that would be talking about like my whole system.
Why is the whole pronoun thing so important?
Basically telling an alter that they aren't what they think they are can cause trauma memories to come up. If an alter, is a male, even if they're in a body that's like a female body, it can be a very distressing to them and confusing to them to refer to them as like a female.
What are the benefits of being with somebody who's also diagnosed with DID?
You don't have to explain a lot. You don't have to go through that conversation of terminology again, because they know what a host is, they know what a protector is, they know littles and how they act, and they know, I guess, the struggles that come along with having DID.
Do you like each other's alters all equally?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I can answer that. Like, I don't want to offend anybody, but like, I just don't know all of Max's alters to the extent that I know Max.
So some alters still don't know that we're not in the same household. So they'll wake up in like this new environment and not know where we are and not know Scarlett. So they'll be suspicious and kind of on edge. But talking and getting to know each other will bring that down.
I think it takes a long time to gain the trust of a whole system, but I'm always open to talk to any of Max's alters.
So will you hold hands with every single alter of Scarlett?
No. I would hold hands with Scarlett, and I would hold hands with any of the littles, but any of the adults, like, I wouldn't hold hands with them because I don't, I guess, hold any affection towards them.
For us, it's more just our relationship, and the other alters are our family and they're friends, and but it's not any type of romantic. I think it's pretty similar to other relationships, except, you have these other people that are there. Max and I clicked very well, I think, to begin with. And then I started to meet Max's alters, like Martha and Kit, and I also clicked very well with them. They're like family, but they're living with you all the time. So it's learning to get to know each other like that, and learning to get to know these other family members, basically, and gaining their trust and letting them scope you out and things like that.
I kind of have to say the same answer because I don't know all of them as extremely personally as I do Scarlett. So of the ones that I have met and of the ones that I do know of, they're all amazing people, and I care for them so much, even if I don't know them as like my best friend. Like, they're very important to Scarlett, like they're her family, so they're my family because she's my family.
What happens when an alter is present that you're not in a relationship with?
And then we usually just talk and get to know each other, and just kind of work on like forming a friendship and things like that.
Are you able to identify which alter is present in each other?
I would say most of the time, like, even if I don't know who it is, I can usually tell, like, if somebody else is out. I think you can tell if Kay's out usually, and because Kay's my 6-year-old alter, so her behavior is pretty drastically different. And then I don't know about Jax, like.
Oh yeah, I can tell when Jax is out.
And Jax is a male alter in my system.
So where are we now?
So this is just a corner where we keep stuffed animals and different things. It's kind of like a calm place.
What is your biggest challenge?
Honestly, the biggest challenge for us is the stigma that we experience. Because when we were like children, a lot of us were told, don't say anything about what's going on in your life and or certain parts of your life. You can't start to heal until you're open, and you can't be open if you're scared that everyone's going to judge you all the time. It's also a good space for if a child alter comes out and they're dealing with trauma and things like that. But yeah, we've got stuffed animals and this bag that has twisty stuff and chews and things like that. We've both been through trauma, so I think we can understand what each other are dealing with, more so than just the average person who doesn't live with DID, and I think that gives us a unique opportunity to be able to support each other more.
Do you find that your younger alters gravitate towards this corner?
Yeah, they tend to gravitate towards the safe spaces that they feel like are safe spaces. We have a bunch of coloring books for them and things like that.
Do people sometimes feel that accepting your DID is validating it and they don't want to validate it?
I think a lot of people think, oh, well, if you accept these alters, that's feeding into the disorder, but that's not actually true at all, because DID is not, alters aren't hallucinations or anything like that. They are actually part of somebody. So accepting them is just accepting that person, and accepting all of them despite the fact that they're not integrated.
A lot of our child alters have a need to hide. So since this has a sheet that will come down, they do really like this corner because, no one else can see you.
When you share all of this information with someone, how do you hope they react?
I hope they react positively. I can't expect that from everyone. There's going to be confusion. There's going to be a lot of questions that go along with it, because DID is a very complicated thing. So anyone who wants to understand can come with an open mind and an open heart.
What are some of the main differences between each of your versions of DID?
Them being able to co-front, so them being able to have more than one alter in control at once, is a big difference, because we don't experience that.
So do Max and Martha each have different opinions of the situation? Being on camera, being in front of lights?
Yeah.
What does Max think?
I think that it's fun, but for me it can be a bit intense, so I have to step back sometimes, but Martha's all for it. I experience co-fronting a lot, which is I'm in the body and someone else is in the body, and we're both controlling it, talking, sort of alternating between each other. That's my experience, at least.
What were some things you experienced in your childhood that might have been signs that you were diagnosed with DID?
So according to my mom, we would sometimes talk like a child, maybe middle school, we would sound like a 6-year-old, 5-year-old, or talk with a Southern accent, because we have 2 alters with Southern accents. And from an inside perspective, just losing time, basically, which is something that we weren't really aware that not everybody experienced. Alters, when they're not out, they go to the internal world. So they're obviously still in the brain, but they're not necessarily in control of the body. When they're in the internal world, our inner world, they usually are doing their own thing if they're not co-fronting or co-conscious. I have an alter named John, and he has a hair salon in our inner world where he will do people's hair and things like that. We have system meetings. So in our internal world, we have a conference room where the adults in our system will meet and talk about important things that we need to talk about.
Can you have more than one alter present at the same time?
Some people do. Max can. I personally can't. We can have what's called co-consciousness. So that is a type of having more than one alter present, but it's not more than one alter is out at the same time. We have a room in our internal world called the viewing room, and so an alter can go in there, and the way we like to describe it is like they're riding shotgun in a car. They can see what's going on outside of the car. They can talk to the person driving, and the person driving can talk to them, but they don't have control of the car.
Scarlett and her system have been in therapy for so long and working towards it for, I believe...
Yeah, we've been diagnosed for 5 years now.
So 5 years of work, and I'm only like a year in to therapy, so communication is a big difference.
So here I am sitting beside you, and you said you have at least 13 alters?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have anything to fear?
No, you don't have anything to fear. We've had some alters in the past who have self-harmed and things like that, but we've never had an alter hurt anyone else. Like, anybody with DID is more likely to harm themselves than anyone else, and I don't have any alters that have any urge to hurt you or hurt some random person on the street or anything like that.
The world needs to know that DID is not dangerous in any context. I've never experienced anyone in my system hurt anyone. I've never even heard of an instance where anyone has hurt, anyone with DID has hurt someone outside of their system. It's just a disorder that does not deserve as much stigma as it gets.
People with DID can live functionally without integrating. It just means learning to, for example, negotiate with your alters. Like if you have a child alter that wants to come out in the store or something because they see candy they want, it's learning to say, hey, if you wait here, you can have some candy when we get home. We've had like a lot of bad portrayals in Hollywood and things like that. That doesn't represent who we are. And DID is honestly just the result of a child trying to protect themselves, and we just really just want to live our lives and be able to enjoy our lives like anyone else, I guess.
Thanks for watching. It's our mission to show that the world is a better place when everyone has the opportunity to be part of it. If you want to support that, click the big yellow SBSK button to subscribe. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.